Hello, YouTube! Long time no see. We've been away for a long time, and as you might imagine, that time has been filled to the brim with exciting activities such as extreme procrastination, existential horror, and dog. We got a puppy. He has zero chill. Well, there's lots of things we'd love to talk about. The reason that brings us here today is that we're once again participating in the Chester County Studio Tour. For those that don't remember, or if you're first-timers here, the Chester County Studio Tour is an annual event where artists of Chester County open up their studios to the public so that people can see them and their art in their natural artistic habitats. It's a truly wonderful event, and if you're not doing anything next weekend, that's May 14th and 15th, then I highly recommend you come through town and check it out. This will be our third year as participants. Links in the doobly-doo. Last year we got to sit down with our host and fellow guest artist, Adrian Martinez and Gwen Knapp, and we greatly enjoyed their company and their insight in our interviews with them last year. We're also very grateful to be showcasing alongside these wonderful people again this year. We had so much fun that we'd planned on scheduling more interviews, but after the studio tour was over, we ended up not due to... This year, though, we figured we'd kick off our interview spree with the person responsible for creating and maintaining this fantastic event, the one and only Jeff Schaller. What is the most fulfilling or satisfying aspect of making art and or being an artist?
I get paid for it.
That's a good answer.
That's a really good answer.
Basically, I say this before, I can't really do anything else. Math is okay. I love science. I was originally a science illustration major,
That's
and
so
then
cool.
saw organic chemistry, and it was about that big, and I was like, no. I liked vodka too much and beer too much to get into that. And there's only one way to draw a heart. So I wanted to do more and be more creative. It's an awesome life. I can't really complain about it at all. My house is 100 yards up. I walk down here. I get to make stuff, and if it's good enough, people buy it.
That's fantastic.
So it's not really a hard thing. Like, it's not a hard theorem, but it needs to work.
I mean, that's the dream, being able to get paid to do
To get paid to do what you love, and then they also have that cliche of, if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life, which it is work. Yeah, and there's a lot of work.
Yeah,
there's a lot of work that, it's not painting. It's emailing. It's social media and promotion and travel and packing and ordering and distribution and shipping and maybe painting.
Maybe once in a while.
Every once in a while.
It's like
painting.
a part of it now.
Yeah, I do not paint as much as I should.
In as little or as much detail as you like, describe the process by which you create the work of art.
It's changed over the time. I put restrictions on it, like square paintings. Now I'm getting to horizontal or something like that, 18 by 24. It's always been a process of learning composition, the idea of being wrong, and scraping it off and fixing it, so not falling in love with something. Has to have a word, some dots, and an imagery. I think one of the best things I did was I used to paint these large paintings and then cut them up on a table saw. So it would be like a 48 by 48. Then I would cut the painting up into 12 by 12s and force myself to paint on that. Force yourself into like, okay, how am I going to make something out of this compositionally? And what am I going to do? What am I going to say? Now I just have so many ideas. I just see something and like take a screen snap out of it, drag it to a folder, and it just ruminates. And I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh yeah, I got to put that together. I kind of see it in my head now. I tend to go off in like blank stares, and they're like, yo, hello. I'm like, oh, sorry, just working on painting. It's like I'm moving things around in my head, kind of like that Tom Cruise when he was moving things on the picture. Now a lot of the stuff too, I'll throw on the computer. I never had a sketchbook. I was horrible in college with sketchbooks. Never had one. No, let me just paint it. And I think that was the value too of it was just a painting. It didn't have to be good. So I could throw it out. I could burn it. I could scrape it off. Working with wax earlier too, you just melt it off and start over again. Now with acrylic, you just take the melt sander and sand it off.
That'll
if
do
you
it, yeah.
don't like it. There's a pile of paintings over there that just haven't come to fruition because I had another idea. I started something else that I got excited about and started that, and something else went on the wayside, or a commission came and I had to put that away, and then that leads me on to really just playing. Let it take it where it goes.
I was reading somewhere recently that play is an important aspect of learning. If you're not having fun with it, then you're not going to be able to get over when it gets like hard. So
Yeah, if you don't take yourself so seriously. That's one thing too, is don't take myself so seriously. It's just a painting that's gonna go on somebody's wall, and even if they like it for the bathroom, you're like, oh, all right, well, at least you're got it somewhere you're gonna look at it a lot.
do you feel like it was difficult to get to that point where you're able to say, not take it so seriously?
Yeah, there's always that tug too with money. You're like, oh, if I paint one more cow, it'll sell. And then you're kind of like, all right, I got to pay the mortgage. Let me paint this. Right now, I'm pretty blessed that I got enough commissions that I can do a bunch of stuff. And then a show comes up and then nothing sells. You're like, oh my gosh, what did I do wrong? Why do I suck so much? You know, if you do it enough, you're gonna fail. And just try not to take it too hard.
Not take it too seriously. Describe an aspect about working as an artist that you think most people wouldn't know or expect.
I'm not the best painter. There's plenty of other painters out there that are really better than me. They just don't tell you. So it's just marketing.
Keep that to yourself, right? Ideally.
There's so many other painters that are out there that I like envy. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're so good. They just don't do it full time. Or I don't really paint as much as I really should. Like maybe Wednesdays are the only days that I paint. But thankfully I paint quickly.
What art or artists influenced or inspired you, and how have you incorporated them into your own work?
Oh, that's kind of obvious. I think everybody's like, oh, Warhol, Rauschenberg, Jasper Johns as an encaustic artist. Started like in Sigmar Polk, Duchamp in college. That just like blew me away. That was like, boom. Like my mind was like, oh my gosh, like anything is art. Which ended up being scary because then you're kind of like, well, anything is art. And then, you know, at that age and you're coming to college, you're a genius. So now I'm a genius because anything's art. And you're like, well, let me reel it in here a little bit. I'm loving John Singer Sargent now. I always thought that old school classical stuff was I was all more modern, but now I'm like getting back into paint and like loving paint, and fell in love with a couple of Matisse at the Barnes, just the colors and stuff like that. So falling in love more with painting instead of concept.
What subjects are your favorite to paint and why?
I go through different phases, I think. I just get hooked on something and then, I don't know, maybe beat it to death or explore it enough. And it's changed over time, too. It used to be like, okay, kind of paint for a show. And I was able to take all of those thoughts and kind of make a cohesive, again, putting rules and restrictions on the show. So it was kind of like forcing myself, and I think this is going to jump ahead to some of your other questions about writer's block and how do I overcome that. Never had it because it was always like, all right, let's do this, explore it, beat it, come to an end, and then the next show would come on. So now having the freedom, I got hooked on bubble gum. Basically, I got these boards that were 9 by 12 by 2 inches deep. And they sat in the studio for a little while, and I was like, this looks like bazooka bubble gum. So I painted bazooka bubble gum on it, and then that led to women blowing bubbles, cocktails. I did a painting, a Good and Plenty painting last year. That was just one of those paintings that was like lightning in a bottle, and it kind of went a different path than where I thought it was going to go, but I got great response on it at the shows and stuff like that, which helps the ego. You know, you're sitting in the studio all by yourself every day being like, okay, sure hope somebody likes this when I show it to you. Spending an awful lot of time on this. It's a really big painting. I hope they like it. And then you're like, oh, they like great. So exploring that some more. I just, folders on my desktop of an image that I like. I'm like, oh, let me throw it over there. Just something that clicks. Then I go, okay, let me kind of explore this.
You have a folder like that.
I do. I use it as my screensaver. Yeah. So like when my computer's like on the lock screen, it just shuffles through images of stuff.
I like that idea.
Yeah, then it kind of just comes up passively.
Right, and it just comes in and eats away at you, and I'm like, oh, this is where maybe I'll use this now. I like that idea.
Yeah.
I'm stealing that.
It's nice for me because now I know what sort of things that inspire her because I see it on her computer.
Right.
Yeah,
and then I'm sure it's cool to see then actually how it comes to fruition.
Oh yeah. I really like the idea of putting restrictions on it.
It helps. You hear restrictions are bad. It was actually a conversation I had too with Adrian when he was doing the paintings with 3 colors. It opens up so many more possibilities than having every color. I have to use these and then I have to be creative. It's kind of like a chef. You go into the refrigerator and you're like, okay, I got peanut butter, I got a salmon steak, and broccoli. Like, all right, what am I going to make out of this? But a really good chef can make something really good out of it.
What was your goal or expectations when creating the Chester County Studio Tour, and how does that compare with what it became?
I wanted to sell artwork. So I opened up my studio 18 years ago. People kind of like driving by like, what the hell is this monstrosity in the back of the house here? So I opened it up. It was just me. And then I had people coming by, and then really before social media. So it was like sending out postcards and stuff and asking friends and stuff like that. And people came out of the woodwork. It was amazing. Then David Oleski and I did it, and we each had like 5 artists at our studios. It slowly got bigger, and I asked 25 artists in 12 studios. And then I was kind of like, all right, let me see who else wants to do it. My kind of goal was this could be, if I can figure out the model and give it to art associations and stuff that they can replicate it and they can make money off of it. Didn't work out that way. Now I'm an event planner, and I had no idea how to, Excel spreadsheets and all of that stuff was just foreign to me. Still kind of is. Event managing, finding sponsors, and now it's huge, and I'm just amazed at all the talent in Chester. Like, all these artists in their homes are super cool. It's a great way for people to come and see artwork, because my wife she would never go to a gallery. She's like, galleries are intimidating and artists are weird. So how do we introduce ourselves and not be intimidating and let people see the joy in collecting artwork? Now I think more people are like, oh wow, I wish I was creative, or find that creative spark. And we live within the community. And then, envious of like how cool it would have been to live next to Wyeth, or go over to his house, or Norman Rockwell up in Sturbridge, and Jackson Pollock. How cool would that have been to be able to do that? I think that part's really fun, and just going around seeing all the other creative places in Chester County. Again, evolve into something that I never thought would happen.
So you didn't see this? Like,
no,
what it turned into
no.
on the
If I
horizon?
did, I think I would have stopped a long time ago. I would have never done this. Just trying to figure out still how to hone it and put it in a box to bring it to other counties and to get other people interested. What do you think about it?
Part of the reason why I think it was super exciting, because I'd seen it a few years in a row. I saw the signs and I'm like, oh, what's that? The first year that we actually got to do the tour, I happened to be riding my bike down Little Conestoga, and I saw the sign, and I saw people setting up the thing, and I'm like, oh, it's today. I didn't miss it. I get to actually try this thing this year. And then I just pulled my bike in, and it turned out I was like an hour early. They hadn't opened up yet, but they let me in and see their studio, let me see their stuff, and I started asking about it, and I'm like, oh, we should go check this out. I told Aaron, I'm like, we're dropping everything. We're going to go ride around. And
I've wrecked a lot of people's weekends like
Yeah.
that. They're like, oh, we were going to go to Longwood Gardens, or we were going for a bike ride.
That was the year that we met Adrian. That was the first conversation that I had with him, and he ended up being one of the most interesting people I ever met. But I think the most fun part of it for us was because, well, we're like socially isolated most of the time. To see how many other creative people were around us doing similar things and having similar interests, and we were like, oh my god, like, we have peers here.
Right, yeah. We aren't alone.
There's like a whole community
we aren't
here.
alone.
And then of course the very next year we're like, sign us up. What
Good
is the
answer.
most challenging or difficult part of running the studio tour, and how has that changed as it's gotten bigger?
Artists. Artists are the most difficult part of the studio tour.
That makes a lot of sense.
Love them and hate them, and I can say that because I am one, and we're all on different levels and have different expertise in some stuff. I just love it, and I love watching artists grow and become successful, keeping everybody on track and hurting everybody. That is the biggest
I was
thing.
going to say it's probably like herding cats.
Herding
right?
cats.
It is hurting cats, and my lifestyle isn't structured that well. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. I have those deadlines when I usually don't have deadline.
What do you love most about the studio tour, and why?
When it's over. No.
It's like the holidays.
It's so super exciting, but yeah. I do like the first meeting. First meeting's fun and just energetic, and everybody's excited about it. And then driving around that Wednesday when all the signs go up. and all of a sudden you see 600 signs for Chester County Studio
Yeah,
Tour.
that's
Holy crap. I did this.
Yeah.
Is like just seeing that come to fruition is very cool. Hearing other people that never bought art start becoming addicted to getting the county collectors and stuff like that. And that's awesome for everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody in general.
I think it helps make art more accessible. If you go to the workspaces, it sort of humanizes the whole thing.
It's really about meeting you guys and hearing your story and seeing how you guys create artwork and what you do. And that's the fun part. And then by you telling them the story, hopefully they connect to you. And it takes the pretentiousness out of it too, as you know, you go to the gallery and you're kind of like, okay, here's all the work on a white wall. Who's behind it? What's the meaning behind it? And then you have a gallery owner to tell you what the artist told the gallery owner to tell you to siphon it through her. Why not just go directly to the artist?
You could pair the artist to the studio very easily. You look at their work and you look at their studio, you're like, yeah, those go together.
Authentic is so overrated, but it's like, well, yeah, that's what we've been doing this whole entire time,
Right.
without labeling it, without selling it to you as, you know, organic, authentic. It's like, nope, meet the artist. This is as real as it gets.
What are your recommendations and or advice for people who want to attend the tour and for people who want to join the tour?
Bring lots of money, buy art, realize that you're not going to see every studio. Make a day of it, and that's why I came up with the Find 5. And enjoy. Maybe take home a piece of artwork. Or if this is your first time, just go to talk to artists and find out why there's the joy behind their artwork. If you're an artist, you just got to get out there. You just got to start somewhere. You got to show your artwork. People are really nice. You know, you hear all the crass stuff. That's TV. Nobody's ever came in and said, oh, that painting sucks. Like,
Yeah.
why would you hang that in your house? No, it's just either, you know, it's a fun experience.
Yeah.
Very unintimidating.
It's funny that you bring that up. I think that kind of ties in with our earlier comments on social media.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
Oh,
not
yeah.
like
If
the
you're going
internet.
by social media, you think everybody on the planet is an asshole. It's like, no, that's just what's floating up to the top of Twitter.
Right.
Normal people are fine.
yeah,
See, that's why I have self-confidence issues, because I live on the internet.
Yeah,
And I
you should
really
probably
Yeah,
stop
no,
doing
you
that.
limit your time on the internet.
Absolutely.
Hopefully, you've enjoyed listening to our conversation with Jeff Schaller. If you want to learn more about Jeff or about the Chester County Studio Tour, links will be in the video description below. If you would like to see either us or Jeff at the Studio Tour next weekend, Jeff will be at Studio 30 and we will be at Studio 18. Thanks for watching, and we hope to be posting more videos soon. Till then, take care and stay creative. Is that cringy?